When you hear the word summer, what are the first things that come to mind? The sun and the beach and spending time with friends and family are what are most waited upon by many as the summer grows nearer. Common activities are swimming in the ocean or perhaps fishing. Over the years, boats have become more and more popular, turning into a hobby or daily activity for some. Without boats and mariners, fishing would be nearly impossible, and some of the products we get from overseas trading would not exist in the United States. Before technology was such a big success and part of everyday life, boats would rely on the most important guide of traveling the seas, something that was underrated during the day they were so useful: lighthouses. Marblehead Lighthouse was a key location and guide for mariners during its time. It helped to give boaters a sign of light when they were at sea, or a small hope if they were lost. With the Marblehead Lighthouse being such a helpful figure in improving the way to travel by sea, its importance and significance are greatly appreciated by the boaters of the 21st century. Representative Elbridge Gerry, a signer of the Declaration of Independence and Vice President of the United States under President James Madison, filed the H.R. Bill 12 in Congress, officially launching the United States Lighthouse and Navigational Aid System. This bill then passed the House of Representatives and the Senate, and it was signed into law by President George Washington on August 7, 1789. Gerry, being a native of Marblehead, Massachusetts, set the stage for Marblehead Light to be built. In 1831, the town of Marblehead petitioned Congress for the lighthouse to go up to get this plan in action. 2 years down the road, more plans had been made for the lighthouse, and they decided to purchase about 4 acres of land that the lighthouse would sit on. It took about 2 years to figure out exactly what the structure would look like, where it would fit on the piece of land, and how it was going to be run. Once all of the configurations were made and worked out, the first lighthouse was established on July 10, 1835. This white stone tower was not lit by its first white light until October 10, 1835. Bill Conley, Marblehead Light's historian, is holding an oil lamp that was used to fuel the lighthouse's light. Because the tower was only 57 feet high above stormy waves, its light was not very effective with the waves crashing up on the rocks underneath the lighthouse. As a result of its unsuccess, a new and improved lighthouse replaced it. This iron pyramidal skeleton tower, which is now over twice the size of the other tower, 130 feet above high mean waters, was established in 1895 and had its own fixed white light. Although the light seemed to be a good idea at the time, it became harder and harder to see as the cities were being built. There were multiple sources of white light surrounding the area, making it difficult for boaters to differentiate the lights. Therefore, it was replaced by a red light, and then later changed to green to see which one worked the best. The green seemed to have done the trick, and it was easier for the ships to navigate towards. This structure is the same as the one that still remains today on the neck of Marblehead, Massachusetts. The lighthouse would be useless if it weren't for the keeper, also known as a wickie. This nickname came from all of the time that the keeper spent trimming the wicks of the oil lamp to keep the light burning strong. The wickie was responsible for the self-sufficient lighthouse and made sure that the lighthouse was running for the boats coming into the area. The first of these keepers was Ezekiel Darling in 1835, a native of Duxbury, Massachusetts, and former chief gunner on the USS Constitution. When I.W.P. Lewis came to inspect the lighthouse, he praised Darling's work for keeping the lighthouse in perfect order, cleanliness, and apparent comfort, reigned throughout the whole establishment, much to the credit of the keeper. He wrote this in his report. Darling kept the lighthouse in stunning condition from 1835 until 1860, a long 25 years. The next veteran to take on the task was female Jane Martin. She was the first woman lightkeeper and was Marblehead's wickie from 1860 until 1862. Being the daughter of Captain Ambrose Martin, who was Baker's Island's wickie just across from Marblehead Light, got her in on the job. It was rare for women to have this as an occupation, concluding that she was the only woman keeper on the East Coast at the time. One wickie, James Bailey, was considered a hero according to an article written in the Boston Globe in 1889.
I spied a boat in trouble in the harbor. By the time I launched my dory and rowed out to it, one of the boat's passengers was already in the water. The man's bald pate was all that could be seen when I dove in and pulled the man to safety.
This time, Bailey's courage earned him a medal from the Massachusetts Humane Society. Bailey stated that he did not want and would not accept money for saving a life.
It is a duty for me to save my fellow men, and as long as I am able to wield an oar and keep my eyesight, I shall never refrain from undertaking the trip over the waves that may have been the means of saving life.
The value of lighthouses has remained constant over the decades. Lighthouses are the road signs of the oceans. They guide sailors through dangerous waters and help them navigate into the harbor or along the coastline safely. With the amount of rocks and bumpy terrain in New England, it was crucial to have a strong and knowledgeable keeper to keep the lighthouse running strong. The whale oil lamps and prisms that were used to give off light enabled the ships to navigate easily, even if they were not close. As the country was growing and becoming independent, the people depended on trade with other countries that would benefit their commerce and variety of products. Because of the lighthouses, the boats were able to navigate to and from different locations safely, which improved trade and made the United States the wealthy nation it is today. Lighthouses still remain important to mariners out at sea, but how they are run and kept has changed over time. The keepers have become extinct when the automatic light was invented. This loss left the lighthouses to be treated with less care, and they are not as well maintained as they used to be. They are now considered more of a historical landmark, and historians are still fighting to keep them standing.
And they did away with 36 lighthouses in Maine in 1996.
Lighthouses of the United States were mariners' hope of light out at sea, and contributed to the production of United States trade, making it an economic and social superpower.